About every 2 years, the Flying Tigers will sponsor Boy Scouts Day. We invite the Boy Scouts and their siblings to enjoy a day at our field where we give them a class on the basics of aerodynamics and radio control. We have a static display of our various airplanes and gliders. After a hearty lunch, we let them all try their hand at flying. Our volunteer instructors will take the plane into the air for you, then switch the control to you.
So this is my model shop where I build my model airplanes, whether they be kits, ARFs. They still need some time putting them together and building them. And after time, I've accumulated some necessary tools that are specialty tools for the sport and the model building craft. So there's specialty tools that I have for model building. This is a slot machine that cuts slot into balsa wood for hinges, for control surfaces. It is a power planer to shape balsa wood into different shapes that you need when you're building kits. And here are some irons that we have. Here's a smaller iron for putting monocoat covering, or it's polyester type covering with adhesive. And here's a regular iron that you iron on the coverings for model aircraft. So here you see there are specialty tools that we have for setting. Here's something that sets the throws on the control surfaces, and clamps, which is important in building. The clamp all the glued pieces of balsa wood together. Here are all the epoxies. We have epoxies and cyanoacrylate, otherwise known as super glue, which is used on a lot of balsa woods. And these are the things that are necessary in models. What I have here is a Tiger ARF. It's almost ready to fly. So really a lot of the building is done for you. It takes 10 to 15 hours to build, and what it will use is this 60 size engine to power it. Here is the contents of this ARF kit. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of the construction is pre-done, or is done ahead of time. These are the wing halves. I've already put the ailerons on them. You've got the components to build it. Here are some of the parts that go into the wing. Building the wing has a gas tank, has a nose cone, all the hardware needed. It's got the landing gear as well. We have the canopy, and here is the main fuselage that we have of the ARF, and you see that it's mostly all pre-built, but there is some assembly required, and again it would take about 10 to 15 hours to put this whole model together. So this is a kit. It's not an ARF, it's not almost right. This thing will take considerable time to build. It's a Bel Air 60 Northeast Aerodynamics kit. Comes with instructions, as most do, and also it has plans like this. And what you see here is essentially balsa wood in pre-cut pieces that need to be assembled, glued together, all the surfaces covered, motor installed, gear assembled, and then you have a finished product of a biplane that is aerodynamic.
I'm glad you also pointed out the point of you had trouble trying to learn on your own and your plane only lasted 15 seconds, because we mention that to people a lot. Don't try to teach yourself to fly, even though you might get a plane that says this is easy to fly, because I had that same problem myself. When I was a kid, tried to teach myself how to fly, and they just
and it's important, I think, to have people that are knowledgeable in the hobby, because even when you have someone that is able to instruct you on how to fly, there's still many facets of the hobby that you need to learn. Even when I was able to become more proficient, I had to start disciplining myself to be sure that I had sufficient power in the batteries and my equipment was working properly, all the mechanical connections were together. So it's attention to detail, and those are some of the things that when you get, as you progress, you learn to spot these things immediately, as opposed to going through a checklist. But it's still important to maintain in the back of your mind all the things that need to happen in the background to make this thing fly remotely.
Okay, very good. Well, thanks for coming by.
It's a pleasure. Great to be here.
Nice to talk to you. So one of the type of aircraft I like to fly is helicopters. I fly fixed wing, regular airplanes also, but I get a lot of fun and enjoyment out of flying helicopters. A radio control, here's one of my radio control model helicopters. This one has a 23cc gasoline engine. It weighs about 12 pounds. It's pretty heavy, actually. People always ask a lot of questions about the helicopters. These fly very similar to the way a full-size or full-scale helicopter flies. And actually, we can do a lot more with these model helicopters than a real full-scale helicopter can do, because there's no pilot on board. So there's not a lot of issues with the pilot being able to withstand the G-forces and things that we do. But I have control of all the surfaces on this, just like you do on a real helicopter. And I can control the collective, the blade control and so forth. And they're a lot of fun to fly. These are really, helicopters are very popular these days. They come from, we can get from small electric ones that run on batteries up to things that are this size or even larger. Some have scale bodies that look like a real full-scale helicopter. This one's just a sport type of aircraft. I have the shark's mouth and eye on here because of the model after the P-40 that the Flying Tigers fly. Of course, it was never a Flying Tigers helicopter. This is probably the only one in existence, but I thought it would be fun to do. So I brought my helicopter here just to show you what it looks like, and if you want to see it fly, please come down to our flying site and see that. The other thing I want to mention about the club is we have a website, so if you want to learn about more about our club, go to your computer and bring up www.newhampshireflyingtigers.org. That's all spelled out just how it sounds, newhampshireflyingtigers.org. You should be able to see it on the screen here. So we hope you'll come by and see us and learn about our club. We want to share this fun sport and hobby with you and teach you how to do it right. Come on down.